I take it to the rooftop, can't allow to blow out. I light up in my passion for you, I swear I show out, baby. Room full of slime, take the floor out, baby. You don't like to drive, but you ride me crazy. Whipping that Mustang back on Mercedes.
Have selected both options. Okay, as you guys know, I like getting hit with the strap from time to time. I'll tell you about what it taught me later, but let me tell you about the kind of situations this thing has got me in. I'll never forget being exposed for it. Okay, I was 14.
Will
Let me
Smith
tell you,
is
the craziest thing about me being exposed for this at 14 was that I didn't know I was exposed. Like it was the craziest exposed, because usually, you know, someone finds out something about somebody, right? Now, mind you, I will say, wasn't necessarily a secret. However, it wasn't something that I was going around telling everybody at the time. Actually, let me start from the beginning, okay? I started talking to this young lady, right? And it was the first interaction in my life, or like dynamic in my life, where I could talk about freakiness, you know what I mean? And I feel like no one ever talks about the impact of this, okay? Because think, you're going through life, you're gooning, you're doing whatever, but that first time where someone likes you, you like them, and y'all can discuss like, hey, I want this to happen between us. It felt great at the time, okay? I felt so liberated. However, in hindsight, things were a little too freaked out, dog. Like me and this young lady, we were doing stuff in the school. We literally, bro, during a band concert, like basically, I don't know how other schools work. It's probably similar to this. It's like your band performs, and then when your band's off, like you go sit in the crowd and watch the other bands perform. But you sit as a band, right? Like you can't just sit anywhere. So we were sitting as a band, and Shorty was next to me, and we kind of started doing stuff. I'm not gonna get too into the nitty gritty, but is that not insane, bro? Like there are people around just being like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, we saw you doing that. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, bro, we were right next to you. And it wasn't like, no, the lights weren't like on upwards, but like it wasn't pitch black. And when I tell you, doing hand stuff during the band concert followed me throughout my entire high school career, okay? Like no one ever let me forget. To this day, people be like, hey, bro, I remember freshman year you did that at the band concert. Anyways, basically the point is things were too freaked out, okay? So we're open about a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff she told me probably shouldn't have told me. Now mind you, nothing like problematic, but like at that age, you do not need to be having discussions about that level of freakiness for any reason. And there was some point I told her, I was like, hey, you know, I kind of like the concept of getting hit from the back. You know, you doing stuff back there, okay? You putting on a thing and then just going to town on me. Now, mind you, that never really ended up happening with me and her because like we never really had like an extended period alone together, you know what I mean? And plus like just a resource wise, but she knew the information. I'll never forget it because I remember me and her were kind of on and off, and then I got with her best friend. And she told me when I started dating her best friend, she said, yeah, like don't tell her about what you're into because like she's definitely gonna like tell everyone, you know, not like me. Because again, like she would insist like she was like a secret keeper or whatever. But come to find out, she was telling everyone everything. So everyone behind my back was like, oh my gosh, Bryce is gay. Like he wants someone to hit him from the back. Oh my gosh. He wants them to eat it from back there. But I didn't find out until like a year later, I believe. Like I was when I was dating the girl who called me the N-word, right? She like had known people at my school, and then like she came to me and she's like, oh, but like I heard like you're into this. And I forgot how she said it, but like she was so smooth with it. She was like, oh yeah, like people have been telling me like you want to get hit from the back. And in my mind, I'm like, not even in my mind, like out loud, I was like, yeah, but like, who's telling you that information? Because mind you, she didn't know who my exes were, but like, and I knew the people that she knew at my school. So I'm like, okay, how did those people find out? And it's obviously they knew my ex, so it was a situation. I'm like, bro, that like, how does that not get back to me until now? That's how you know, like, people have hated me my entire life. But, like, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, when I made that video about being a bad person, and everyone was in the comments, they're like, oh, so this is why people hate you. Nah, bro, the hating started way before. Like, you understand how hard it is for a high school rumor to never resurface? You know what I mean? Like I could say something about someone, like in high school, I could say something about somebody and they would find out the next day. At the latest, they'd find out within the week what I was talking about them, or at least the concept of like the rumor that I spread was spread. Like that girl, bro, I dated a lot of people in high school. Like it sounds, I dated a lot of people in high school. But anyways, that one girl I was dating who everyone thought had syphilis, like she knew people thought she had syphilis. But the thing is, so many people thought she had it, like she simply couldn't get ahead of it. So I was like, what are you gonna do? So it was the fact that I didn't even know Shorty had told people until this woman who doesn't even go to the school brought it up, like insane to me. And that she got it from someone who wasn't even her. Hold up, I'm gonna get back to it, but I also remember years later, I was like 19 or 20. No, I was like 18 or 19, but I had graduated high school, right? So this is years after me like being with this woman romantically. Again, like high school doesn't really count, but like I was 14, okay? Keep in mind. Tell me why, you know, I'm gaming with my buddy, right? And then, you know, just my meat comes up in conversation. You know, it just happens. You start talking about your meat. And then he basically said, you know, so-and-so from freshman year said it was average. And I'm like, what? For one, this dude has been my friend for a very long time. I'm like, how is this the first time you're telling me that like you like have like supposedly insider information about my meat? Second of all, do you think my 14-year-old meat is also my 19-year-old meat? No. I just looked it up. You stop growing between ages 16 and 20. And it's like you're carrying around this bruh. Vanessa was not grown up yet. As simple as that, okay? And the thing is, the problem it was for me at the time is I knew I had grown since then, but
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
gotta
know exactly
name it.
how big I was. Because at that point, I hadn't measured it, okay? All I had was people's word. But when you told me that, I'm just like, how do meet rumors not get back to me until after high school's already finished? But I do guess I have to say, because me and her were on and off again, okay? And it's like when it's off, it's like, oh my gosh, your meat's small. And it's like, no. And then like when you get back together, it's like, oh my gosh, your meat's big. And you're like, yay. It was one of those things. But again, I didn't know the rumors were being spread. And it's like, obviously, when it comes to rumors, like it doesn't have that same dynamic. Like once you're on good terms, it's not like she was gonna go around being like, guys, no, like I was lying before. It was big. Like I was just trying to insult them. Like, how did none of these rumors get back to me? Okay, but anyways, okay, girl called me the N-word. She was willing to hit it from the back. And I think, okay, I'm be completely honest. I definitely made a video on her where I was like, oh yeah, she was homophobic. She always thought I was gay. And I think I completely forgot at that time. I was like, man, like I don't know why she always thought I was gay except like vibe stuff, but I was like, oh, it was probably definitely that. But anyways, her whole thing was she was not willing to eat it from the back, which I was like, oh darn it. But she was willing to hit it from the back. So I'm like, okay, cool. Never ended up happening with this woman either. Okay, that was the story of my life in high school. It was like I would get into situations with someone who was like low-key with that, but then we're in high school, so it just couldn't happen. By the way, this is so random, but I just have to say, bro, my Wi-Fi has been out for like over an hour. And it's like I can almost not function, bro. This is actually horrible. But anyways, eventually I get past high school and then I get to college, and that's when I meet, people who are with it and also they have access to the tool. And also, I didn't know where I was gonna put this in, but I need to tell you something right now. Okay, I'm with the stuff. There's this one woman where apparently she said that like her like male relative said something because she mentioned like putting stuff in my behind, right? And then apparently he said something like, oh well, he definitely loves you because no man's letting a woman do that if he doesn't love her. And I'm like, please, bro. Please, bro, I pick up a woman on the street right now. If she wants to hit me with the strap and she's a baddie, it's happening. It's going down. Love has nothing to do with it, okay? But what made me mad is, obviously I'm love bombing. So in that situation, like I have to be like, yeah, no, like totally. But anyways, point is, I've been hit a few times, okay? And I have to tell you this right now. There's a lot that you can learn from it. For one, I will just say it goes crazy. Okay, so it's like when people talk about like, oh my gosh, like you're talking about this publicly, Batman couldn't get this out of me, bro. I will never feel embarrassed for being pleasured. Like if I find pleasure in something, trust me, you're gonna know about it. And here's my thing, bro. Here's my thing about like the concept of like keeping that a secret. And I guess that it did kind of teach me this in the long run. But just overall, I have a policy where I'm like, I would never do something that I would be ashamed of, if that makes sense. Like particularly in that context, okay? Like in the bedroom, why would I do something on purpose that like I would be embarrassed about if people found out. You know what I mean? Like I feel like even if it's something that like I'm like, oh, I might like that. I wouldn't try it if I wouldn't feel comfortable with like people knowing about it. You know what I mean? Like for a while, that it was
Yeah.
how I felt about getting peed on. Like I was like, I don't know if I can like tell people that. So it's like it's not gonna be a request I make. Because imagine I got up here and I was like, oh man, getting hit with the strap, absolutely not. Nothing's supposed to go up there. How as a man could you do that? Da 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 da. And then like in the back of my mind, I'm knowing like, man, that shit happened last week. And that's why I really don't understand DL men or like men who like get exposed for anything really, or like anyone who gets exposed. Like my thing is, if I'm gay and I'm attracted to men, but I don't want people to know I'm gay and attracted to men, I'm not gonna sleep with men. Like I could live without it. Just like I was saying, bro, like I could live like without getting peed on. Like I was completely okay with that. But then I was like, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with that. So then I told you guys, and then like, I made it happen. Because again, if you're ashamed of something, it's because it's something you shouldn't be doing, okay? And you need to like look within yourself to be like, wait, why is this something I shouldn't be doing? Now, obviously, there are some things where just like morally, you should not be doing them whatsoever. And those things are very obvious, right? But when we just talk about like general freakiness, like, if you like feet, bro, look, I've never been a feet guy. Now, I've involved myself with feet, but I've never been a feet guy. But if you are that kind of guy, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Even if, again, like if people are like, oh man, I'm not into what you're into, what's the shame in it? That's why I don't understand the concept of like a guilty pleasure song, or a guilty pleasure movie, or like, oh, like this thing is my guilty pleasure. I can't let people know that I like it. Why not? Will Smith is my favorite rapper of all time. I enjoy the music. Like what am I like? You see what I'm saying here? Like, am I supposed to be embarrassed for enjoying more things that you don't enjoy? If anything, it's more embarrassing to not enjoy things. Okay, and I say that as someone who's a hater. I hate a lot of things. I hate a lot of people. Like me hating something is experiencing less pleasure than you liking that thing. Okay, so again, it's like you're into feet, I'm not, and I'm like, ew, feet gross, and you're like, feet yum. You're having a better time, and like, why would you feel embarrassed for having a better time than me? Like, I completely understand. Like, when it comes to embarrassment, like, I'll never be like, oh, I don't understand embarrassment. Like, if you do something by accident, if you slip and fall, I'm afraid of tying my shoes in public if they accidentally go untied, because those are like missteps, and I feel like a few missteps can be embarrassing. I still do agree with the concept of even in that context, embarrassment being a choice, but like, that makes sense. But what makes no sense to me is doing something on purpose and being like, I don't want people to find this out. Like that would give me so much anxiety. Okay. Like honestly, like I feel like if you're again in that state, you should give it time to mature. Like, you know, like those stories of like DL men where they'll be like sleeping with men on the down low and then they'll get exposed and then they'll like unalive somebody. I know it's easier said than done, but would it not simply just make more sense to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna live my life and kind of just like process things until this is something that I can do. And if it's something that I never feel like I can do, then guess what? I'm never gonna have to worry about the shame or embarrassment I feel from getting exposed for this thing. You know what I mean? Because with me, people bring up me getting hit from the back all the time. Like if I get into like a little TikTok back and forth, they're like, "Oh, you get hit from the back. I remember you said that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did." You know what I mean? And this is I don't want to push forth the notion because I know a lot of people push forth the notion of, especially because I'm talking about like orientation too, because I feel like it's kind of like an important topic. I will never push forth the notion of like just come out. Like just do it, just come out. Because it is absolutely unequivocally not that simple for everybody. And to act like it is extremely ignorant of just society. But what I am saying is why do things in secret? That's the thing that I'm not on board with. If you want to be closeted, if you want to be like behind closed doors, whatever, but like doing things in secret, a bit crazy. Like let me give you an example of me like breaking this rule, okay? I at a dark point in my life, okay, I was going through a lot, and I was just, it was the situation. This is gonna sound problematic, okay, but hear me out. And Clipper, please don't clip this. But at a point in my life, I involved myself in the bedroom with a larger individual. Now, I had never been into that previously, but I'd heard things like, you know, it got hyped up. And then again, I was at a place in my life. Okay, let's just say that. You know, and I did it and I did feel shame. Now, mind you, look, you can say that's problematic. Like, I'm just telling you, at the time, I felt a lot of shame for it. Like, legitimately, I had trouble sleeping, bro. Like, it was horrible. But then, like, when I really broke it down, it was like, I didn't feel shame for what happened. You know what I mean? Like, a cool person. You know, I did my thing, I climaxed. Like, that part of it, like, it wasn't where I was feeling embarrassed. The embarrassment came from the fact that like I had represented myself for years as someone who would never do that. Mind you, take that with a grain of salt, okay, for better or for worse. And also remember, I have very impactful eating disorder. Okay. You know what I mean? So it's like I just kind of put a lot of weight on weight, you know, teehee. So it's like, you know, I had been painting myself as like this person, like, oh yeah, I would never do that. Absolutely not. So it kind of made me feel like a liar. Okay. But then like I realized I was like, you know, I'm not a liar. Like I kind of just changed my mind. Like the actual experience itself was nothing to be embarrassed of. Like the embarrassment was literally coming from me internally. And like, cause think about again, all the other things that I'm not embarrassed about. Like again, I like getting hit from the back. Okay. Like a lot of people aren't into that, you know, and if they're not into that, okay, fine. And if you want to judge me because you're not into that, then I don't know, I just think that's odd behavior. And also I had been in situations where I cracked certain individuals and then like the next day, like I took a look and I was like, you know what I mean? And that happened. And I was never embarrassed about those situations. Because look, you can act, look, if you're sleeping with people, bro, it's very easy to accidentally slip a choppy in there. Someone who's chopped. Like, it's very easy for that to happen. You know, and in those situations, I would just, you know, wake up, be like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, kind of just fade away. And if someone were to bring that up to me, like if someone were to be like, hey, did you crack this unattractive woman? I'd be like, I mean, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be my brightest moment, but like, I wouldn't be shamefully embarrassed about it. Now, mind you, if I were to start like dating that person for whatever reason, yeah, sure, that'd be a bit different. But like a hookup, bro, come on. It happens, okay? So it's like, why would that situation be less embarrassing than me choosing to, you know, kind of just test the waters with, you know, what would this be like? Especially at such an interesting time in my life, okay? I was experimenting. Some people experiment like, you know, with their orientation. I was experimenting with something else. Like, what are we doing here? It was a decision that I made and it was harmless. Okay. I didn't hurt anybody. Like I didn't get burnt, didn't catch something, didn't get anyone pregnant. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're good. And as soon as I came to that conclusion, I think I ended up making a TikTok about it. And as soon as that TikTok came out, I was just like, whew, like so much weight off my chest. Because I feel like a lot of the time, us as people, we are so attached to our identity, okay? And we're so attached to making it such a solid structure, even just subconsciously, okay? But in reality, you can do whatever you could wake up tomorrow and be a completely new person. Like, your favorite color could be purple tonight, and then you could wake up and be like, you know what, my favorite color is green actually. And I really like cats, but I used to hate cats, you know? Like that's why the concept of hating yourself is actually insane, because at any moment, you could wake up and decide to not be who you're being right now. If you don't like that you're lazy, at any moment you could stop being lazy. You know what I mean? If you don't like, oh man, I sleep until 1 p.m. every day, you can wake up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I don't like that I eat so unhealthy. You can eat healthy literally today. And look, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is simple. So it's like in the sense where you can use these changes, because oftentimes you do want to change who you are. Like you want to evolve, you want to get better, you know, increase skill levels at certain things. But it's like almost anything else is like people are afraid of changing. You know, like people are afraid of changing by accident. That's what they're afraid of. Like on purpose, like, oh man, I want to do self-improvement. I want to become, you know, more confident. You know, I want to become a leader, blah, blah, blah. That's all fine. But if you change in a way that you weren't planning to, oh no, it's the worst thing ever for some of us. Like you guys know how I said I'm not a feet guy, right? Like imagine like I tomorrow just wake up and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm kind of rocking with feet a bit. There would be no shame in the concept of me starting to be into that. It's just an alteration that could have came on for any number of reasons. So it's like this structure that I at the time had built for myself where I was like, okay, like I would never sleep with someone who's XYZ. Like I would never sleep with someone like that. When I broke that rule because of a genuine, like just human emotion, like curiosity, I was panicking. I was scrambling because I felt like there was a hole in the foundation that like the ship was going to sink. But the thing is, in reality, you're not even in water. Like people are so afraid of not knowing who they are that they don't realize that it doesn't matter if you do or don't. I remember when I was in the hospital, okay, the loony bin, the psych ward, the therapist asked me, she was like, do you know who you are? Like, do you think you completely like understand everything about yourself? And I was like, no, not really. And she was like, yeah, like, no, of course you don't. Like, nobody should. And she said, even like when she asked people that question and they say yes, and then like she asked them to like further on that point, like they can't do it. And this is not me saying that you can't have a general understanding about yourself. Like, yes, you can, of course, be self-aware. You want to be self-aware in a lot of ways, okay? But as far as like just knowing yourself from top to bottom, what's going on and why it's happening, like that's just, it's simply unrealistic. And I honestly deal with a lot of the anxiety that comes with that because I'm the kind of person where it's like, if I'm feeling something, I need to figure out why. Like I need to figure out what that feeling is. So it's like, I kind of just spend so much time like thinking about like why I'm doing something or why I'm feeling a certain type of way. When in reality, in particular context, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like again, like with colors, like if I'm like, my favorite color is purple, but then I'm like, what made me like purple, you know? And I'm like scrambling, trying to figure out, it doesn't matter. I just like purple. So if a part of like this, like again, low-key, everything everyone's constructed is fake. Like even like this concept of me getting on here, like if I'm telling you like, man, I'm a YouTuber, you know, I'm a YouTuber, content creator, make video, I could stop making videos tomorrow. And then I would just no longer be that. I ask you your job, and you're like, I'm an accountant. You could stop showing up to work tomorrow and you would no longer be an accountant. But we've just built a structure of society. Now, mind you, building a structure of society is obviously important, but a society where people fill specific roles. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna make this video today and then tomorrow perform open heart surgery and then the next day play the violin at the Philharmonic. And that structure is important because that's kind of just how society functions as effectively as it does today. But at the same time, it's still made up. Like you go to school and like your teacher or professor is talking and you're listening to them. They tell you to be quiet and you listen to them. It's not a biological law of life that this person is a teacher, so you listen to them. It's a social construct that we made. And yes, certain social constructs like that are important to the society we're living in. But I'm saying those social constructs, when you factor into like how you're building yourself and how you're presenting yourself as an individual, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm an engineer. My role in society in this aspect is to be an engineer. But it's a completely different thing to be like, I'm a straight male. My role in society is to be a straight male. And that's how people get messed up in those situations because they'll look at something like their orientation as just as set a stone role as their job is, right? And mind you, they might not tell you that out loud, but like subconsciously. Like if I, like, cause I mentioned earlier, like you could just stop going to your job and you would no longer be a person who does that. That would no longer be your role in society. You could do that, but you know, likely you wouldn't have any money. You could go homeless, stuff like that. If you do, obviously you do break certain your roles in society, you would go to jail. You know, like if you were a mother and then just one day was like, you know, I'm gonna leave my kid and just like walk around, you know, but like no one's watching the child. But think about it in other ways, okay? You're straight, you know, you're a man who likes women or a woman who likes men. If tomorrow you decided to like your own gender, what happens? Like tangibly, what happens? Like obviously, like society, like will look at you a certain way, which does impact things, like I mentioned earlier. But what actually happens? Like, is your life ruined? No, of course not. So when I was in that situation where I had presented myself and gave myself the role of like, oh my gosh, I'm Bryce. I don't sleep with people who are large, right? Like I don't do that. It was a mind effort because when I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, that role that I've crafted myself into in society, I'm not fitting it anymore. This is so embarrassing. And it's like you kind of like fight for it back. Like you want to like take it. That's why people lie, bro. Like think about like all those people who are like, oh, like I never da 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 da, because they want the role of never da 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 da. But then someone like pulls up and they're like, wait, actually you did da 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 da. Like like I've seen like situations like this with men, but like let's say I got on here, right? And I was like, bro, I've never cried over a woman ever. And then someone's like, wait, Bryce, yes, you did. You literally cried over me. Like we talked about it. Like that's insane behavior. And you just have to understand you can't get that role back. But that's why you should never structure yourself around the things that you would never do or around the things that you always do. Okay. Like you can't be I'm always on time except this one time, da, 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 da. You can do it in different ways where it's like, okay, like I'm the person, like I'll always try my best to be on time. And then if you let yourself down by one time you're not trying your best to be on time, then that is on you. And that is something that you should potentially be embarrassed about. But it's like, I'm telling you right now, okay, that I slept with that big person. none of you care for real. Like big picture, none of you even care. Like what, you're gonna unsub me for that? I'm not gonna lie, I feel like just because I said that, people are gonna do it. But my point is, I myself was so much more worried about that than anybody else would be. And like you hear about it all the time, like, oh, no one like cares about these things except you. It's true in the sense where your thoughts impact you more than anybody else's thoughts in the world. So again, looping it back to the topic that like taught me this, it's like I like getting hit from the back. Okay, I like someone clapping my cheeks. If I were to
Nah,
care,
bro.
if I
Will
were to be
Smith was not
embarrassed
the
about that,
only thing that
it
made
would
me look at
affect me so much more than it would affect anyone else. And that thought would affect me so much more than anyone else's thoughts would affect me. But again, when I
that. I
don't
don't
care, when
even
this is
react
information that
anymore.
I'm liberal with it, even when these people do care more than me, like when people want to be like, oh, what, you do that, me not caring overrides the fact that they care. So it's literally like, bro, undefeated method. Like if you're not judging yourself for something, other people judging you for it is not going to matter, within reason, of course, because we are all human beings at the end of the day. And that's why, like, when you talk about like things like systemically, like an openly gay person cannot judge themselves for being gay, but then like a bunch of homophobic people around them, like yelling at them, like throwing stuff at them, is obviously going to affect their mental. Like that's just common sense. But it also does work that way. Like y'all remember JP? He made Bad Biddy, that viral song a while back, and then people like tried to like expose him for like sleeping with a man or whatever, and then he was like, yeah, I did it. And like no one was doing it, like no one could do anything from that point on. And also I learned this lesson very young too, but I didn't completely learn the lesson, but like it happened, right? I remember I was taking a test and I was taking too long, and I started like crying. Like I went to the bathroom, I started crying because I was like, oh man, like I'm taking too long, like they're not gonna let me finish that. I was a big nerd, like in elementary school. So I was crying in the bathroom, right? And then like, I was getting support. Oh man, I had this friend, bro. He was so nice, bro. He helped me out, like, cause I was like, man, I'm stressed. And he was like, bro, it's okay. And I feel like children are never really that nice to each other, so that meant a lot to me. But basically, this other guy, like, he came in and like he just minded his business and he came out. But then later on, like, he tried to bring up, like, he was like, oh, Bryce, like, were you crying in the bathroom? And I was like, yeah. I don't know what possessed me to say yeah, because again, like you're a child, you don't want people to know you're crying, like you feel ashamed. But I just said yeah, and he literally just stopped talking after that because there was nothing. But like when people sense that you're trying to get away from something, like trying to like push back from like the concept of something, that's when they get you. And this can factor in with things that like even aren't necessarily true. Like like people call me DL. They're like, oh man, these are actually men you're sleeping with. I'm just like, oh, could be. Ooh, you don't know. Ooh. Like, what do they do? Like, where do they go from there? Like, that's why the whole thing, Batman couldn't beat this information out of me. Like, bro, like you'll survive. You'll be okay. Like, genuinely, the only thing that gives people power to judge you is your fear of them judging you for whatever that thing is. Like, think about the thing that you're the most confident about in the world, okay? That's something that no one can ever take from you. Actually, no, imagine you have a dog or cat or whatever pet that you think is the cutest little thing in the world. Like, you're like, bro, there's nothing cuter than this pet that I have, which I'm sure if you have a pet, you feel that way about them. Imagine someone came along, or you just, like, you see, like, a faceless comment, right? And someone's just like, ew, that dog's ugly, that cat's ugly. That's such a weird little animal. It's not cute. Blah blah blah. Outside of like feeling like you have to defend your pet's honor, would you really care that much? Like, would that shake your opinion on whether or not the cat was cute, on whether or not that dog was just adorable? No, not at all. They would just be objectively wrong. Okay, so if there are things about you where it's like someone wants to say it's lame, and you're like, no, it's not. Your first reaction should literally just be like, what are you talking about? Like, because I think about it all the time. Like, anytime like something's getting me, I always think about my earrings, because I didn't realize how few like men wore like kind of like hoop style earrings or like my longer earrings when I have them on. Like, I never realized that like that was more of like a rare thing, because I got earrings and then I just started like getting more and more, and I just got more extravagant over time. I thought I paused. And personally, I love my earrings. I feel like they're an extension of my body at this point. So when people are like, oh, like those earrings are ugly, those earrings don't suit you, my gut reaction is literally like it's literally something wrong with them. Like, even though like it could be something completely subjective, I'm like, clearly there is something wrong with your perception. The same way where if someone wants to judge me for getting hit from the back, if people are like, oh, like what's wrong with you? That's so weird. That's wrong. I'm like, there is something wrong with you for finding something wrong with that. And look, I know I'm throwing like a few concepts at you right now, okay, but I'll try to summarize my best. For one, the less embarrassed internally in your heart of hearts that you feel about something, the less embarrassed anybody else in this world can make you about that particular thing. And two, It's okay to change. It's not by any metric, it's not embarrassing to change. The entire concept of your existence is fluid, dog. Like there's no
It is.
chemical or wrinkle in your
Okay.
brain that's literally gonna be like, okay, this person, they're gonna like ham and cheese sandwiches for the rest of their life. Like you are not stuck being you. You're not stuck being like this character, this caricature that you made up. So it's like, don't force yourself into structures where you don't have to. Now, mind you, there are a couple, like obviously there are times where you say, oh, well, I'd never do this, da 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 da. And then it switches up and then you just genuinely don't care. And then you're like, oh, well, I did do it that one time. Like that's one thing, okay? But I mean something where you're like, oh my gosh, I would never do this. Never. And like it would hurt your soul if this thing ended up happening. Like you don't have to do, you don't have to put yourself in that position. And if you do end up doing it, obviously no one's perfect. And it's just a natural human thing to want to identify yourself with something you'd always or never do. Even if that there's a discrepancy, you have to remember that is okay. If you said that, bruh, I was sleeping with this young lady. I remember I she she put my like finger on her, back door while I was doing my thing. And basically, she was like pushing down on it. I'm like, okay, so she wants me to go in. So then I basically put it in. And she really, I'm not going to get too graphic, but like she was rocking with it, bro. And she was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know. Like she kept saying she didn't know. And it was, I literally started laughing. And basically afterwards, she told me that literally just a week prior, she was telling like whoever in her life that like she would never do like behind stuff ever. Then lo and behold, it happens and it's her favorite thing. And also, that's another message, okay? Never say never when it comes to like these things that aren't harming anybody. Like if you were never gonna let someone hit you with the strap, why not? Like simply why not?
It's
Because think about it, bro. If you try it and you don't like it, then you just tried something and now you know you don't like it. Now you can say never again. But then if you like it, then you have just like this new thing to like, and that's so great for you. Like it's okay to not be the same person that you were born as. Okay, you're not supposed to be. Like remember how I was talking about? I was mad because they were talking about my meat for when I was 14, and then at the time I was 19. Like obviously there was a change there. It's like that, bro. Think about it like that. Your life, but throughout life, your meat is constantly growing, except your meat is just you. So do you really want to stop growing? Do you want to stop evolving as a person? Do you want to be like the shrimp equivalent of a human being? No, bro. You want to grow. You want to evolve. So when you have these rules for yourself, when you've built this structure and something of that structure changes or alters, I'm not like it would be corny if I'm like you should celebrate that every time, but like just dude, like don't cry about it. Like, even if you change a core element of your personality, you'll be okay. Like, you'll be fine, bro. Everything is going to be okay. I'll never forget it. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be exactly like Will Smith, okay? And then basically, I would always get allegations of like, I don't know why I'm saying it, like it's bad. Like people would tell me like I look like Will Smith growing up. I'm like, oh sweet, da, da, da. But then it got to a point where like, I'm growing up and I just starting to look less like Will Smith, and I'm like, oh man. And I'm clinging on to it. I got the high top fade because I'm thinking about like Fresh Prince era Will Smith. Like I'm trying my best to cling on to it. And it is doing me no justice. I look completely wait, I can show you guys a picture. Wait, no, I can't. I have no Wi-Fi. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I was not doing myself any favors, okay? But eventually once I accepted that like, hey, I guess I'm just no longer gonna look like Will Smith. It sounds so silly, but like evolved, leveled up. And I feel like a lot of people are in those situations, okay? It's like you have like this, piece of the boat that you're building where it's about to come off and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't let it come off. Let me put some Flex Seal on that bad boy. Like, let me smack it up. And it's like you're trying to fix the structure of the boat instead of just enjoying, sailing the seven seas. Cause you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't have this like break because then the water's gonna get in the boat. But you're not realizing the boat isn't on water, bro. You know what? Like, let's say you're coasting through the clouds. Okay, like it's completely metaphorical. The boat, like you could fly, you could jump off the. Yeah, no, that's what I want to say. You can jump off the boat if you wanted to, and you would still be flying. Okay, and you would still be seeing the seven seas. I'm saying, and you know what? That point reminds me of something that I see literally all the time. Okay, it's when people talk about certain substances. Okay, and I'm gonna be careful how I speak about these. I don't know what I can say on YouTube. This is not encouraging you to do anything. I'm just like informationally. Okay, there are certain substances where they can lead to something that people call ego death. And it's you lose literally all subjective perception of yourself, because that's what ego is. And everyone has ego, which is a very like there's a lot of people who just like say like, oh, someone has like a big ego when they're self-centered, but it's like, no, just any subjective view of yourself is ego. So basically that ego death is that ego dying. You no longer have any subjective view of yourself. Now, mind you, this is temporary. Like you are no longer you experiencing existence. You're just literally just straight up experiencing existence. And you see how like everyone is connected and how we're all actually like, I can't get too much into because it would take so much time to explain, but like we're all actually like the same thing. Like we're all, like how we're all connected as like just beings and things in existence. Like with ego death, if me and you were having a conversation and then your ego died, you wouldn't see it as me talking to you. You would see it as you talking to you. But like, what is you? Like, it's everything. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds crazy. I know, but this is it's a real phenomenon. You can look it up. And when this happens, a lot of people report the feeling of it feeling great because like there's no like pressure to be like who you are, you know? Because again, like I said, we're all like crafting out these roles like, oh, this is what I do in society. Like, oh, I'm this person, I'm this person, I'm this person. You don't have to be any person. Like you can just be. And it's kind of like being reborn. You get to build yourself back up. And it's like this concept. I don't know how I explained it to you. I don't know how you feel about what I'm describing. Whenever I heard it, I was like, that sounds pretty great. But I see a lot of people talking about like, I remember I talked to this girl and she said, oh, like, you got to be careful with like certain things because like you don't want that to happen. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't want that to happen? So many people are just, because mind you, this thing I just described to you, temporary. Okay, keep that in mind. Like some people are genuinely so afraid of losing that like little like ego, that identity that they've built for themselves. Like that just goes to show, like again, I've seen a TikToker talk about it where they're just like, yeah, bro, like that makes me so like scared. And I'm like, why? Like that, does that not sound like, and I'll just say like, apparently you can achieve it by like meditating too. Okay. So I don't want to, and again, I'm not encouraging you to like do certain things, but doesn't that sound like just such a profound experience? Like just existing and having consciousness in its purest form and not having to worry about the little minutia of like, oh my gosh, like what do these things think of me? Like, oh my God. And mind you, and it's the craziest thing because when you're like the concept of like, oh my gosh, I'm scared of like how these things think of me, it implies that these things aren't also you. So when you experience it and then you're like, wait a minute, everything's me, it's like you can't fear it, bro. And again, okay, if you're gonna seek out ego death, don't do any substances, okay? Meditate. Yep, you heard me right there. Meditate. And mind you, this is just me being informative here, okay? Again, if you don't want to experience it, completely fine. But my main point is, I always felt like something like that sounded cool, but a lot of people are just so like caught up in identity, which is always like just self-made, that they're afraid of losing that. When in reality, almost any form of emotional pain you can think of comes from the fact that you have an ego, stems from you creating this identity for yourself. Like, Wanti, that's literally where all pain in the world comes from. So anyways, like I'm saying all that to say, some people put such an importance on their identity when their identity is like, again, like that structure that you're building, that's the only thing that can hurt you. And I did not expect to go on this long of a rant, but like, okay, fine, whatever, what we gonna do? But another thing, because I did learn that from like the whole getting hit from the back thing, okay? Because for one, look, I mean, I never really cared, so it wasn't like a big like process, but then I realized, like I was just analyzing, I was like, wait, okay, why don't I care about like people knowing and stuff like that? And I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I should apply this to other aspects of my life. And look, you know, I'm not perfect. Like obviously, like there are some times where it's like I'm embarrassed about the concept of tying my shoe in public. Okay, just because like I know I would judge someone if they tied their shoe. You know what I mean? Like it's just like stuff like that. Like, I don't want to come to you and make you think that I have all the answers, but I'm just like I feel like this could be, you know, maybe helpful in some way. But the other thing it taught me,
Yo, I have not seen someone tie their shoe in public in years.
was just straight physical. Okay, you got to be careful with your meat. All right, because I think before I had
Nah,
anything
that's
in
not
there, I
because
was
I've been
kind of just like, oh yeah, you know, you got big meat, just like do whatever with it. You know what I mean? But it's like, nah, you can't do whatever. You do got to be careful. Like you can't just go in anywhere willy nilly. You know what I mean? Because again, it's like you hear like, you know, especially like growing up. Okay, like you hear about like, oh, like, you know, certain people getting sore from proceedings, and you're just like, okay, yeah, they're getting sore. But when you get sore, you're like, oh. And then you want to do whatever's in your power to avoid that, you know. So communicating with a partner, you know, like about certain things, like, hey, you know, we good right here, you know, like can I advance? And it's like, yeah, that's why, bro. And I hope this doesn't negatively affect proceedings. But you can ask anyone I sleep with, bro. I'm always like, not always, but like I'll always make sure. Like a few times, I'm always like, yo, like you okay? Like you good? Because I don't want them to like be fighting against the meat. Because when you fight against the meat, that's when you wake up the next day and you're like, oh. Like, why did I fight against the meat? Like, there's got to be a better way, and there is always a better way. Okay, so that's why communication is always important. But yeah, anyways, that's the video. Again, didn't expect it to be this long because I didn't expect to, you know, get on my soapbox about that. But I hope that did help you if that was something you needed help with. And I think this is like the first time in a while where I got like really off topic. So I hope, and again, I've had a lot of new subs since then. So I hope you guys don't hate that. Like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, again, this is my second video of the week so far. I mean, I'm considering Sunday the beginning of the week. I'm sorry. I know I hate when people do that, but like I'm doing it. But yeah, I still have another video coming out, even though sometimes I'm like, what if I shouldn't tell you that? Like, what I mean, like, what if that's not information I should give you? Like, just in case I want to end up like holding off on the video, but like, nah, like I'll have another video out. And because basically I already have another video done, but that's dropping next Sunday. And the reason I have to wait for it to next Sunday is because it's actually a follow-up to a video that a video I haven't made yet. Ironically, like when you see the videos, you're gonna understand why it ended up the way it did. But yeah, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna record the other. I'm probably gonna do that right now. But dude, I don't know why I don't have Wi-Fi. It's really bothering me. It's been hours, bro. Because now it's like actually like it's at a point now where I'm like, okay, now we're affecting my job because they're doing this at 7:20 or it's 7:30 a.m. and I'm like, bro, like I post at 8 a.m. Like why are we not back in action? And it's so weird because it's like showing that bars are there, but nothing's connecting. But yeah, anyways, I really like this video, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. And quickly, state of affairs. I've been on these hoes, just straight up. Like that's how it's been lately. But I'm very happy with myself because I've still been getting work done. Okay, now you might notice my TikToks have been a little. I'm here or there posting those, but I'm actually being even more consistent on YouTube, which of course is the goal. And by the way, it's not New Year's yet, but anyways, New Year's resolution, bro. And I never make resolutions, like straight. Like sometimes I'll do something, I'll be like, oh man, like I'll eat more healthy, you know, just like that corny stuff where it's like it doesn't really matter if you do it or don't do it. But this one, I actually have a very real goal that I'm gonna be taking extremely seriously, and it is 100K on YouTube. Okay, and I'm saying, and you're probably looking at me right now, like, because when I drop this video, I have like 38K, and you're probably like, Bryce, you're being a bit crazy, man. You have 38K. You did this like with a year and some change. Look, man, look at me in my eyes. I've looked at the analytics. Okay, I've seen the numbers. I'm seeing how things are trending. 100K in 2026. I'm coming for that plaque. Okay, I want to have that plaque, and it's gonna sit right back there on that couch. Right back there on that couch. That's where that plaque's gonna be. Okay, at least, unless I can find a better. Okay, look here. You're gonna see at least one video with it back there on that couch, okay? Because I need to cover my bases in case I have a better place for it. Like, I'm really about to solidify myself on here, bro. And that's why, you know, likes, comment, share, stuff like that. Like, please, because they do genuinely help. And of course, I always love your content suggestions. Because this video, by the way, came because someone in my Discord basically suggested that. I was like, you know what, that's actually a great idea. So yeah, speaking of which, my Discord is also in the link tree below, and I would talk more about my goals right now. Like I would like really like harp on it, I really like hype myself up right now, but I don't want to mess up with the watch time of the video. Yeah, I'm taking it that serious. Okay, the only reason I'm even telling you now is because I know like I rambled so much in this video that like it might be worth it just to give y'all a little something. You know what I mean? Like I might as well, you know, especially something like this. Because oh yeah, by the way, just this is, I can't emphasize enough how big of a deal this New Year's resolution is to me. Especially bro, when I have goals.